Welcome to JGTCR, I'm Cope, and today we are tuning the BMW CSL 71. Let's get into it. This old car feels like a big boat. It's heavy and weight shifty, mom spaghetti. It handles okay for what it is, but it does tend to float on the track. It is manageable once we get used to the car and how it responds to our inputs, but it's not pleasant. We can experience a decent amount of understeer when pushing hard, but it can easily flip into oversteer in an instant. So we must beware and use caution as we start driving faster. The power is fairly weak outright. There is no aggression at all. When slides do occur, it's not from power, it's from coming in too hot. And when sliding, the vehicle has a tendency to drag itself off the track. As such, it's best to avoid any kind of drift action whatsoever. The brakes are not the greatest, but they do slow the vehicle down eventually. And of course, it is a bit wobbly while doing so. Let's collect our time. (8 minutes 42.7 seconds). Let's take a look at the race tune. There was not much needed to get the BMW CSL 71 to drive well when modified. It would be easy to say that this is one of the most mild tunes we have put together so far on GT7. Let's see it in action. This CSL handled like garbage in factory trim, and when modified it wasn't much better, but dialing in the tune has made all the difference. It now handles extremely well and does exactly as it's told. Its ability to turn in can be surprisingly sharp at times, and it can take some getting used to, particularly when coming off the back of driving a factory model or a modified untuned version. The power available is still rather low, but it means we can go all out without worrying too much about spinning out. It is rare to spin the wheels, but as we know, if the wheels are spinning, we're losing time. When slides do occur, they are reasonable to handle, but are not recommended. The snapback can be aggressive due to the higher grip than traction loss. The brakes have been upgraded and are now quite solid. There are no issues to report at all. Let's collect our time. (6 minutes 58.5 seconds). And now the drift tune. We have used all of the usual tips and tricks to get this CSL to drift. Our body height adjustment is lower at the rear than it is at the front, and our natural frequency reflects the same thing. Our differential settings have also been bumped up to give us more slide action, and we employed a decent amount of downforce at the rear to stabilize the tail end. Let's go drifting. The BMW CSL 71 has a hard time drifting. It seems to struggle with using the power it has appropriately to initiate drift or maintain it. This means we must be considerably forceful at times to make it comply with our demands. But unfortunately, it seems to be a rather fine line between just enough and too much or too little. The handling itself is actually very good and directs the car well. There is no strange behavior or issues to report. But as well behaved as the handling is, it's still a chore to drift. The power we have available to us should be more than enough to cook the tyres decently, but something gets lost in translation. It does do what we ask of it, but more hesitantly than it should. The power delivery seems to be the weak point. It screams and the wheels spin, but the drift just feels shonky. As much effort as we put into making this BMW drift, it just does not spark joy. And that's all we have for you today, so until next time, keep racing!